Welcome into our overtime segment here at sportsource.tv. Happy to have you here. These guys obviously very happy to be here. We got Chuck Cavaliers, we got Mike Griffith, we got Josh Ward, and we've got you. We also are brought to you this overtime segment today by Games and Things, you see right there. Want to make sure I get all this right. Huge spring clearance sale today, Sunday, and Monday. Sunday and Monday at their West Knoxville location or off Kingston Pike out there. Level Road exit. Games and Things, everything in the store is on sale. Now, let that sink in. Everything in the store is on sale. Again, as I said in the show, everything but the carpeting and the people. Everything else is marked down. It is their they have two monster sales a year, one in Christmas, one right now, spring clearance. Do yourself a favor in terms of bar stools, kitchen seating, lighting, games, obviously, the arcade games, foosball, shuffleboard, the pool tables, poker tables, everything's on sale. Great savings at Games and Things. All right. We got two things we're going to talk about today. And we're going to deviate from the beginning, all right? So we will talk about this reload in a second. But one thing we couldn't fit into today's show that was interesting, and somebody tweeted about it after the show, and we wanted to get it in there. Saturday night, after South Carolina lost, Mike, I'm going to turn this over to you because you came in talking about it. After South Carolina lost last night, Frank Martin was talking to the media and
said that you don't have to win a championship to be a champion. And, I couldn't help but think, that sounds familiar. But I guess when you're Frank Martin and you're South Carolina, you can say those type of things. Obviously, Butch Jones was raked over the coals for very similar sentiments as it related to Josh Dobbs and his character, or as it related to the kid trying to overcome knee surgery with the 5-star heart. So I guess it's kind of where you deliver it and who you are when you deliver that type of message.
Yeah, but Martin didn't call his team champions of life. So huge difference between you can be a champion without winning a championship and champions. I'm kidding. There's no difference. The difference
you were getting me going.
The difference is there is one clear difference. If Butch Jones had said that after they'd won the East, nobody would have complained. Well, the morons would have complained. That little faction of Twitter nimrods.
But it wouldn't have become a national joke.
It would not have become a national joke if they'd won a championship and he then made that same comment. You can make that comment after taking South Carolina to the Final Four.
Yeah, when you hadn't won an NCAA tournament game since 1973.
Now, the fallacy, the problem with that is the comment is still the comment. The thought is still the thought. So it's on the listening end that the problem lies, because these guys are making a point. You tend to accept the point or not accept the point based on whether or not you're mad at them. No, and that's where the problem is.
But don't you think, John, that part of Butch's problem isn't what he's done in 4 years? It's the fact that he's inherited so much of this negative equity going back to 1998. Yes. It's not his. If you just look at Butch Jones' 4 years, we've shown, as John Curry said, the upward trajectory. It's the problem is people are still upset about the Dooley years, the Kiffin year, the end of the Fulmers.
Well, but you can also, to me, it's a little bit more than that. You
can
add in McElwain at Florida's done more than two in terms of SEC East titles, accomplished more than Butch has in 4 here. That doesn't help.
They inherited a much better situation.
Well, I understand that. I understand that.
But last year, Butch was picked to beat him. And did so.
And then that's a lot of it too.
Yeah. Now there is this revisionist thing that, well, and he could have won it 2 years ago. Well, could have, but he wasn't picked to. And that's been reversed. That 2 years ago, Butch Jones, he's blown it the last 2 years.
And he did beat Florida head-to-head.
He wasn't picked to beat them last year.
And with Frank Martin's comment, I'd also say this, guys: the nature of the NCAA tournament, the nature of March Madness is you're only going to have one champion. When it's done, there's only going to be one tomorrow night.
So you still don't buy the champions?
No.
I don't have a problem with it. You just got to know when to say it.
Exactly. Timing is everything.
Yeah, Butch Jones' mistake to me is not understanding the public relations ramification. If he had said to me, hey, Josh, I'm thinking about saying that these guys are champions of life, I would say, that's a really nice thought. Don't say that into the microphone. Yeah. Right. Same thing with the 5-star hearts, because if he had said that in 2014 or 15, when Tennessee had top 5, top 10 classes with Jalen Hurd and Josh Malone and Khalil McKenzie in those years, and he said, yeah, these guys have 5-star heart, nobody makes anything of it. But when you say it when your class drops down in the rankings, that's when it gets the attention. So to me, it's the timing of it. It's not the message that should come with it.
This is truer words never been spoken. My father told me this a long time ago. He was a minister, so he was in the business of talking to people in public. He told me there's a difference between what you say and what they hear. And I'll say that to people, and they're like, well, it don't make no sense. Think about it. It does make a lot of sense. You have to know where that other person is coming from. You know, if you're talking to somebody who's thrilled that, woohoo, we're going to Atlanta in the championship game, and the coach just said we're champions of life. Yeah, we are. If you're talking to somebody who's pissed off, they had tickets to Atlanta, now they got to sell them. The trip's ruined, and the coach says champions of life, they're going to be ticked as hell.
Yeah,
so you have to know that as the coach, and some coaches care, some coaches don't. I was told that he was specifically told, you don't want to say that, and he did anyway.
Don't do it.
And if I were coaching him, and I've said this before, I would just tell him it's not your forte to be quick. I mean, to be really
Spontaneous.
Spontaneous.
Off the cuff.
Yeah, off the cuff. So instead, let's keep it short. Your press conferences are going to be less than 10 minutes. You don't have to answer everybody. And that's where he gets in trouble.
Well, you know,
he tries to give everybody a lot more time than a lot of coaches do. Well, anyway, I'm not going to get off the topic here, but I would try and convince him, don't worry about trying to please people with your talk. Worry about the football team. They're not going to like whatever you say at this point, so just do the talking on the field. Give them yes/no answers. Let them complain about that and move on. That's what I would do.
And in hindsight, guys, remember Philip Fulmer never got engaged with Steve Spurrier, and I remember when he went to the national title game in '98, and he said, guys, I'm not going to come up here and be as funny as Bobby Bowden. So go ahead and just ask me some. Philip knew that he wasn't going to try and get into a war of words with Steve Spurrier. He wasn't going to try and out Bobby Bowden.
Right.
Philip Fulmer understood that what his job was to represent Tennessee in a classy, respectful manner, and he always did do that with the media, I would say. I can't think of an instance when he did.
Well, it's good to see that you were somehow able to turn this into a God bless Philip Fulmer moment.
But that's an example
this
of a
God
coach
bless Philip Fulmer moment brought to you by Mike Griffith.
I'm just saying, it's a coach that knew.
And the Philip Fulmer chorus.
He knew he knew what he knew, and he knew what he didn't know.
Yeah, it'll be like the Green Acres they used to do. They'd dub in like America the Beautiful.
I'm not allowed to say. All right.
I think we still have
that was fine.
at the radio station the audio clip of Philip Fulmer saying, "Mike, I don't think we've seen you to practice all year."
We've gotten Casey Clausen. We've gotten Philip Fulmer.
Gosh, can we get a John Chavis?
Bingo!
Let's go for it.
If you're playing the drinking game, be careful. Don't drive now.
Wow.
All right, here we go. On Friday, I did Sports Talk with Jimmy Hyams, John Wilkerson, and Will Overstreet. Plug for Sports Radio WNML. Jimmy asked the question, name the 5 most indispensable Vols this year.
Yes.
I named 3. I said, okay, John Kelly, Juwan Jennings, Darren Kirkland Jr. Those are based on what we've seen. And then I gave another couple of guys based on what the potential is, projections. So then it goes to Will Overstreet. He goes, well, same thing. I got 3 that you've seen, and it's Kelly, Jennings, Kirkland. In terms of indispensable, everybody else you're just betting on projection. Jimmy's like, the same 3. John, same thing. So basically what we found is there are 3 indispensable players that you can say proven. And part of that ties to the position they play. And last year you had a lot of injuries, so that plays into this as well. You got some freshmen who you haven't seen, okay. But where I'm going is we all knew this was going to be a reload year. We said so before last season. Programs have those. You know, you're not 14-1 every single year unless you're Alabama. So this was going to be a natural reload year. However, is it worse than a natural reload year? Because, again, you look at the roster.
Yes.
You've got 3 indispensable players, 3 proven players that you say are indispensable that are proven. Do you have more holes on this team? Doesn't mean we don't know if they're going to be able to plug them or not. They may plug them all. But right now, do you have more holes than you anticipated in year 5?
I anticipated them, and I think it's particularly true about offense. And there were several times last year I was saying, why have you still got Josh Dobbs in the game? Why aren't you getting Darmody a few more snaps or get some playing time? But yes, look at the percentage of offense and your production that you're replacing and trying to replace. What is it, 70%? maybe higher. You take away John Kelly, probably all the rest. So yes, it is higher, and I don't think it necessarily should have been as bad if you could have gotten a little bit more playing time to some other people.
Okay, I'll let you go.
I'm going to say the attrition is the biggest. Preston Williams leaving hurts. Obviously he wasn't willing to do what he was supposed to do. Jalen Hurd and Alvin Kamara were a couple juniors. Josh Malone is a junior receiver, losing guys through attrition or through the junior or through the class. But on the other hand, I'll turn this around. The silver lining here is that because of all those injuries, a lot of young guys got playing time. A lot of linemen were developed on the offensive side of the ball. A lot of DBs got to play, and a few receivers that maybe we don't know too well yet, but they did get in the game. So, yes and no. Yes, it's a rebuilding because your quarterback's gone, and that's huge.
Right.
Anytime
You
a
knew that
quarterback's
going
gone,
in.
it's a reload. But on the flip side, the injuries created this silver lining of some guys getting some reps.
Yeah, there's more to reload than I thought. And one reason I thought that this would be a year where, okay, maybe it won't be as bad even though you knew that there would be a quarterback change. I looked up front, and on the offensive line, there's still potential there with the number of players. That's something you feel okay about at least.
A lot of veterans.
Yeah, the amount of players plus Trey Smith and Raj. But on the defensive line, I thought the way that they had recruited in 2014 and 15 and a little bit into 16, that you would be set up to where you know what you have coming back, and that is not the case. Right now with the injuries they're dealing with at defensive tackle, half of the two deep is made up of walk-ons, and that's not going to get it done. Now, you expect to get some guys back, Vickers and McKenzie. You're still talking about potential with McKenzie. And then I thought at least among some of these guys, Kyle Phillips, Darrell Taylor, Jonathan Kongbo, we would know what to expect with some of those guys on the outside, and we don't. And, John, think about the 2014 defensive line class. They signed 7 defensive linemen. That would be the upcoming senior class by years. None of them are on the roster. Now, Derek Barnett was a star, went pro, so that you don't fault them for that. One was a JUCO player. Owen Williams, you knew, was a short-term fix. Yeah. Everybody else is gone. That's your depth on the defensive line, which means that 15 class, they better be ready this year.
Well, and you also, you have to look at those injuries because a guy like Shai Tuttle, kid can play. We all know he can play. I think if he were healthy, everyone here would say, okay, that's your 4th indispensable guy. Mm-hmm. But due to the injuries, we don't know. So injuries do factor into this. The early departures of some guys does figure into this. But I still, maybe it's only this much, but I expected the reload to be here, and instead it's here.
Right.
In terms of having more holes than I anticipated, even when you factor injuries and early exits out of it, I expected more proven guys across the board than what I'm seeing.
I still think you got to go back, and John, you've documented it well on the show on numerous occasions. If you go back to what Butch inherited, people don't want to come jumping in on a 2-14 program in the SEC, and because they're not coming here to win championships. When Bush got here, he wasn't signing guys going, I think I'll go to Tennessee to win a title. He was getting guys that thought they were going to play right away.
And legacy players.
And because of that, there was a higher attrition rate than had he been recruiting to a top 25 program with a better foundation.
No, I think that's, I think partly that's true. I think partly he oversold. He told everybody you're all going to play and start, and they're not going to. How some guys learn to deal with that, I don't know. Maybe it's just Nick Saban can do it because if you leave, so what? We've got them all signed. But there aren't many guys like Nick Saban. Still, I do think that he promised an awful lot, so guys left when they didn't get all the playing time they wanted. But there have also been some guys who just left.
And it also made
because of
year
playing time.
4 that much more important to silence your critics.
And we said that all
and
last
buy
summer.
some time.
That's the best way to put it. We said that last summer. You need something that will carry over and mask the step back you're going to take in 2017. 2016 has to have enough of a happy hangover that you can go through 2017 and go, well,
that's
sucks,
the question.
But at least we made Atlanta last year.
What is good enough in 2017? That to me, that's the $1 million question. What is good enough?
That'll be a great discussion next week on the Sports Source. We'll have we'll be discussing that in the weeks to come. We're going to do it in an interesting way. I
There's your
promise
segue.
you. Thank you. Anybody else you'd like to salute?
I tell you what.
We haven't had a Bruce Pearl mention. Haven't had a Bruce Pearl mention. Come on, Griff.
Say it.
I was trying to make an example of Phil. First ballot Hall of Famers. I didn't know it was off the chart.
All right. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next Sunday on the Sports Source, 11 a.m. on WATE 6.